Hello guys, welcome back to Beyond the Realms. I'm of course Jason, and I have Jeremy here back.
What's going on?
From many of you saw him on our Days of the Dead videos we did, where shit, the Friday the 13th when we were all pretty lit. Me a little bit too much.
Hopefully it won't be as bad this video.
Yeah, a little bit early. But today, I guess before we start on what review we're doing, we are trying Shipyard Brewing Company Pumpkinhead Ale, and it is delicious.
Yes, it is.
It's got a spicy kick to it.
All natural flavor too, not a pumpkin spice like liquidy flavor.
Yeah, like Selena said, kind of like a pumpkin pie, and it kind of is, you know. So cheers.
Chars.
Yeah, chars. That's right. I said it wrong. Chars.
As Mr. Headbanger would say.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it originated with Crazy at Wasteland last time. Yeah. So, all right, to get down to it, today we're going to be talking about the film. This film actually made me a fan of Christian Bale.
And a lot of people,
American Psycho. And I'm just going to say it now. We are totally going to do this review open-ended. I mean, spoilers abound here. So if you've never seen the film, or if you don't want it spoiled for you, whatever,
shit off.
Yeah, you might want to turn it off because
hit the little X up there.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Come back later. Go watch the film first, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, we just figured, you know, I don't like spoiling films if they're newer films. But when it's something like this, and especially when I'm having a guest on the show, it just makes more sense to just go on with it. So
we don't have to worry about not saying something.
Yeah. So there will be spoilers with this, so you have been warned. So, all right, man, what do you think about American Psycho?
Awesome movie. Definitely for its time, too, when this came out. What was it, like
99 or 2000, I think. Yeah, it was right around that time period.
It's weird too, for 2000 it always feels like an older film. Maybe it's the whole 80s vibe they have, like the Wall Street thing.
So yeah, for those of you that are watching this and haven't seen the film, it's basically Christian Bale plays a Wall Street, he works on Wall Street.
Very good gecko, motherfucker.
Yeah, he works for Pierce & Pierce, and he basically just spends his days wasting time. Like, he really doesn't do anything in his job. He listens to Huey Lewis and the news, and he just, I mean, he wastes time. And so basically he's a Wall Street executive by day, a serial killer by night, and basically he wants to fit in, as he says. I mean, he plain out says that in the movie.
Very pre-Dexter too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it is. I mean, Dexter, definitely, there's some similarities without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. God, this shit is good.
Yeah, it's fucking great beer. But this movie it's also based on a Bret Easton Ellis novel, which I have read the book. I've actually read the book twice. I've seen the film first, and I have to say, the book, I mean, this is Walt Disney compared to the book. Like, the book is brutal. I actually read the book in
high school.
It's fucking brutal.
It was actually on the summer reading thing my sophomore year of high school.
Holy crap.
Until they realized, I think, what they put on the list.
And well, the thing is too about the book, like if you watch the extras on this, where the director Mary Herron talks about it, like she says the book was called unfilmable, and when you read the book, it really does seem that way. Yeah. It's like, how in the hell could you make this into a screenplay? Because like the parts in the movie, like he'll be getting ready to kill somebody, and all of a sudden he'll go into this big, long, rambling speech about Huey Lewis and the News or Phil Collins in Genesis. And like in the book, it's kind of different than that. Like, he doesn't really do that before he kills the victims. It has like whole fucking chapters on the shit, and like a whole chapter about fucking face wash and shit like that.
Yeah,
you know. But it's cool how she took it and like was able to blend it in with the story, because I mean, I thought she did a great job. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like when you read the book and then see the movie, that how they were able to pull it off.
Yeah,
you know. But I mean, he's just psychotic. I mean, Christian Bale, I mean, basically made his career off this movie. Now, he'd done a lot of stuff before this. You know, of course, Newsies was one, and he did Empire of the Sun, Steven Spielberg, which that was his first film. And, you know, he was only a kid.
Wasn't it Great Expectations or something?
Yeah,
like
he did all kinds of just, you know.
Little Women is what he did.
Little Women. But yeah,
it's terrible that I know that.
Yeah, this is the movie that really like made a name for Christian Bale. And it's funny because the studios wanted Leonardo DiCaprio was one name that they were throwing around that they wanted for Patrick Bateman. Tom Cruise was another one.
I can see Tom Cruise kind of doing it.
Yeah, Leonardo
especially
would be weird,
80s circa Tom Cruise maybe, not so much crazy Tom Cruise now.
Yeah, crazy Tom Cruise now would be really bizarre.
It might actually work better though.
It probably would. Maybe the remake they're talking about. But, you know, I mean, I just can't really see any of those actors really doing it like Christian Bale did it, man, because Christian Bale just knocked it out of the park with this movie. Like, he really does come off as a fucking psychotic lunatic.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like, what's her name, Chloe Sevigny, that plays his secretary woman. I've always liked her. She's done a lot of independent stuff. Kids was like, I think, the first movie I saw her.
It's a good movie, too.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely just an excellent movie.
It's definitely a classic.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a modern day classic.
Especially, too, for the time. Because, I mean, honestly, at that time, 99, 2000, it was a lot of screams, a lot of, you know...
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, a lot of,
like
your teen horror films.
Yeah.
You know, very oversaturated garbage at that time.
And this is very, very different. Like, it's satire, it's psychotic, it's, you know, and then the 80s vibe. It's based in the 80s, so there's a lot of big 80s vibe in it, and it really captures that, like, 80s excess, you know? Like, they don't give a shit. They go out to lunch and they're spending like $200 a piece on their lunches and shit, and they're all throwing down their credit cards.
Yeah, it definitely shows that 80s yuppie attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
That,
yuppie,
Wall
the
Street,
materialistic.
snorting coke.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys in love with
this place doesn't have a good bathroom to do coke in.
I mean, when he's screwing that chick alone, he's staring at his own body and doing the
flexing his
yeah.
It's hilarious, and he does all that shit in the book too, you know. But definitely, I mean, the film has a lot of charm to it. I mean, Willem Dafoe, I think, is great as a detective. He's really cool. Like, the first time he comes in, you know, you get the sense that he's on to Patrick Bateman. He knows Patrick Bateman's full of shit, you know. But, you know, the whole thing is, like, when you get to the end of it, you know, and Chloe's, I forget her name. Damn, what is her name? The secretary. Chloe, whatever. And she's looking through his notes, and she sees all these pictures he's drawn, and then, you know, about how the names, like everybody's names, like they get him mixed up with everybody else, you know, like Paul, what's his name?
Paul Allen.
They get him mixed up with Paul Allen and other guys. It's like all the names are kind of interchangeable.
But you notice, too, half of the film, the other executives keep calling him the wrong name half of the time.
And that's what I mean, like when
he's
you get
so nameless in that yuppie thing.
And then at the end, it's almost like it's an ambiguous ending where you don't know, did he really do this and just get away with it because everybody's just so nameless and it's such a it's such a superficial society? You know, did he really get away with it, or was it all just in his head?
We kind of, you know, wondering too towards the end of the film when he starts to kind of lose it more when he's running the streets and going to the ATM and the feed me the stray cat thing.
Yep. And he's just randomly
you wonder too,
everybody.
like, you know, is it all just in his head? Is it, you know? Because it plays off very well of, like, even as ridiculous as a feed me a stray cat from the ATM, it really plays off very well as, like, what, is somebody fucking with him?
Yeah.
You know, or is it very much, like, in his head?
Yeah, somebody
never really know,
and
that's the point, you know?
Yeah, and that's part of the charm of it, too, I think, you know, is you don't really know. I mean, I think ultimately he did some of it, and then some of it is in his head, because, like, when you read the book, it's basically like him writing it. And you almost feel like sometimes you don't believe him. Like, you don't believe what he's saying. Like, you can tell he's lying, like, as a character, you know? And that's what's so awesome about it, because it is ambiguous like that. It doesn't just lay everything out like this is how it is, you know? It kind of leaves you like, well, it could be this and it could be that. And I think that's part of the reason why the story's caught on.
It skips around as well, too.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of feel like, you know, it goes from this one day and then it goes back to that day and then it flip-flops. It's kind of meant to kind of weird out your senses to, you know, what's real and what's not real, what's in his head, what isn't.
Yeah. And speaking of the Paul Allen characters played by Jared Leto, which is basically went on to just have the music career now with, what's...
30 Seconds to...
Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he does a great job. He's basically the one that, like, all the characters in the movie look up to and really want to aspire to be. You know, he's... because I love the part with the business cards. You know, they all lay out their business cards, and, like, Patrick Bateman lays his out like he's got
a watermark.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I like that paper.
And like each one of them are one-upping each other on just the their business cards, and they all have to compare theirs to Paul Allen's card.
Yeah.
And of course, Paul Allen's scene's really awesome. He do you have newspaper on your floor? Yes, I do. And he hits him with the fucking axe and shit. Hilarious. He's like all skipping around the apartment behind him.
That's what he's doing. The Huey Lewis in the news thing too. And his little raincoat.
Do you have a raincoat? Yes, I do. It's just, oh man, there's so many classic.
The crazy naked chainsaw scene at the stairs.
Don't just look at it, eat it. Shit. Yeah, she takes
I have
off
to go return some videotapes.
Yeah. And that, there's so many quotable lines. And even to this day, people still quote that line. Like, you say that, and people automatically know American Psycho. It's just great. And, like I said, the book is much more extreme than the movie. There's one scene, I'm going to go ahead and mention it here. It gets a little graphic, but there's one scene in particular that always just really, really fucked with me from the book, is the part with the habit trail. Where he starves the rat. He catches this rat, and it like catches it by its back end, and it's still alive. So basically, he just starves this rat. So he gets this girl and knocks her out and sticks a habit trail up in her, and then puts the rat up in her, the starving rat, and the starving rat starts eating her from the inside. That's how extreme the book gets, and it goes into the deep detail about him cooking the brains. Like at the end of the movie, he talks about, and I ate some of his brain. Like in the book, they go into detail about this, about him cooking it, and like him eating into the, like, just attacking somebody and eating into their stomach, and it talks about this blue ropey stuff. It's just
I love the scene too when he's talking to them. He's like, "Oh, I've killed several people."
Yeah,
and they're just like, "Oh, stop."
Yeah. I'm into murders and executions. Oh, how long have you been into mergers and acquisitions? I can't even say acquisitions. Yeah, just funny stuff like that, man. It's really, it's incredible that they were able to turn this into a filmable movie, and especially one that works so well as this, because it could have easily been a disaster. You look at the material and you would much more expect it to be a disaster instead of turn out to be a classic that it was.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about doing a remake of this, and I'm not for remakes, but at the same time, if you've read this book, you can definitely see where they could make it, I guess, more extreme towards the book. But that's the thing too. Will they try to push it like that? Like, I think if they do that, it's going to have to be much more just an independent film. They're not going to be able to go, full on big production with it.
There'll be no rat scenes in it.
Yeah, it's. And not just that, it's just, somebody be able to pull off the Patrick Bateman character, like
especially after
Christian
he made
Bale.
that character. Whether you read the book or not, you go back and read the book, you will still think of Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman.
And that's a testament too, because usually it never lives up to the book. But he made the character his own, and that's what made me such a fan of Christian Bale, because he really just puts himself into the character so much, And then, of course, after this, he did The Machinist, where he even went deeper into the role to lose all that weight and everything. It's just a dedication Christian Bale has that not many actors have, man. It's amazing. You can say what you will about his temper and his personal life that's got out there. He's a pretty private person, but as far as just an actor goes, man, I think he's one of the tops. For me, I think he's one of the tops that's out there, right now, mainstream-wise. He's just amazing, And this film really shows that this really set his career in motion. It led to many great things: The Machinist, The Prestige, the Batman role. It did, because everybody, if you think of the first film with Christian Bale, of course, like we talked about, he's done several things before this. This is like the first one you really go back to.
I don't remember that
really
movie doing very well either when it came out.
No, I don't think it did.
I think it kind of was one of those things that, when it came out, it kind of was overlooked, kind of, and whatever, and then it kind of became a cult classic over time. I hate
on the DVD market. Yeah, it really did. Like it had a short theatrical run, and I think it was even a limited release. I don't think it had a wide release. And, it just came and went. But then when it got on DVD, of course, it really caught on, good word of mouth. And, it's still really highly regarded now, I think.
I've heard a lot of people, too, who've actually seen the movie say, "Oh, yeah, I went back and read the book."
Yeah, and that's what happened with me.
Yeah.
I saw the movie. Yeah. I saw the movie, and it
They'll
really...
read.
And, when you read that book, man, it's like... it's written so well. It's like, how in the fuck did Bret Easton Ellis not do some of this shit to know this?
Yeah.
Because it's like
what did he have to research?
Yeah, because it's so like even just little things, like the part where he's just totally losing his mind and he sleeps under the coffee table in the living room at night and shit because he's just completely lost all grasp on reality. I mean, it's just little things like that. It's like, how did he really come up with this? What did he, like you said, what did he research to know this shit? It's like, did he really do some of this? You know, I mean,
I've heard rumors too that he based some of it off of other serial killers or other cases. You know, I mean, there's been talk. I've heard talk of he did stuff involving Dahmer. You know, I mean, like he kind of took little hints.
Could see that definitely. Yeah.
Dahmer's really one I can pick out. Honestly.
Yeah. Like a lot with the cannibalism, the eating, the brains and shit like that.
And that attitude alone too, because Dahmer had that very cocky, attitude.
But yeah, I mean, just guys, if you haven't seen American Psycho, you got to check it out. I'm sure anybody still watching this video at this point has watched it. You already know, but I just recently watched it, and I know you said you just saw it recently. It was
actually even on TV about a couple days ago. This is the first time I'd seen it in probably 3 or 4 years at least.
Yeah, it'd been a while for me too. Like, I just being on the big Batman kick, The Dark Knight Rises, got me going back and watching some of the Christian Bale films again. It's been a while for me. I've seen this film so many times. It's like anytime I put it in, I'm always entertained by it. It's a black comedy. I mean, it really is. It's a very dark comedy. I mean, because this is a no bullshit serial killer, but you're gonna crack up at it too. But just a great film. I'm intrigued by a remake, but I'm dreading it at the same time because I just know they're not going to probably go the more extreme route the book would have it be, and I just can't see somebody topping Christian Bale's portrayal of Patrick Bateman. I mean, he really defined the character, in this film, and I think this is a modern day classic, from the 2000s or whatever. This is one of the standout films. No, there really are. I mean, there's a handful of films that I really consider classic from that time period, and this is one of them. I think this will withstand the test of time. I think 20, 30 years from now, you'll still be talking about this film. I really do.
The fact that it suits that 80s access, it really tells that the feeling and sense of the 80s.
It does, man.
It does. Set to the T. The excess, the mass amounts.
The me era.
Very
that's
cocky,
where that stuff
very. And again, very Gordon Gekko.
And they bring up Reagan, and different things with Reagan, and and the music. All the music, just the music that they use in that, it really captures what they're going for. Yeah, and of course Phil Collins, Genesis.
Yeah, there you go.
And it makes you want to do like he does and sit back and cross your legs and just put on your headphones and just zone out. But okay, on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you give this? 8. I give it a 9. It's fucking fantastic. I think it's great. We both agree it's great. And yeah, if you happen to have not seen this before, definitely check it out. Well worth your time. Excellent film all the way around. You definitely won't be disappointed.
Fans of serial killers, Dexter,
Yeah, 80s.
Huey Lewis again.
Yeah, Huey Lewis. Yep, can't go wrong.
It always goes back to Huey Lewis.
Yep, and his masterpiece, music that he made. So guys, that's American Psycho. I appreciate you being on, Jeremy. It's been
Thank you for having me again.
Yep. And I'm sure there'll be many more coming around. So you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching Beyond the Realms, guys. Later.